So once you're done, you can press save. And as we can see, the deal has been entered into our event. When we scroll down, we can already see that the expense that we listed yesterday, which is a hotel stay, and we added this into the itinerary, already shows up as an expense here. And from this button, the add expense button, we can easily add custom expenses to this booking. For this case example, a bottle of champagne. So for this new expense, we can fill in what the costs are. We can give up a separate VAT percentage. And again, we get the question, who is initially handling the cost? So who is initially paying for it? Well, let's say that in this case, it was the agency, and who eventually needs to pay for it, so who gets invoiced for it, will be the buyer and thus the promoter. Once the fees and expenses are correctly listed, we're ready to move over to the next page, which is the documents page. Next to being able to upload specific documents related to this booking, this is also where the magic happens and where we can start generating our first contract. So let's press the button Generate Contract right here. And as you can see, we're immediately brought back to the contract builder within this booking. The top part of the contract template is automatically generated with all of the information that you've already included into the deal and in your own team details. Check out the previous videos if you want to make sure you fill these in correctly. Stagent will always apply the first contract template that you've created and use it for this specific event. You can easily make changes to this contract builder without actually editing the contract template. And once you've read it through entirely and you're sure that it is correct, also make sure that you've selected the correct language on the bottom. And this is also the spot where you can switch easily between your contract templates. Once we're finished, we're ready to press next. In the second step, Stagent will detect if there are any documents that might be relevant to be attached to this booking. And as we've uploaded a rider in the previous video, we will include that as part of the contract. So we select it and then press create. Your contract is now successfully in draft. And from this view, we can easily edit it, send it, or download it. So let's continue by sending out the contract, which means we press on the send to buyer icon and we get a new interface. From this view, you can easily switch between sending an automatic email from within Stagent with the contract attached to it, or we can choose to send manually, which means we can download a copy of the contract and send it through our own email. Furthermore, if you're working with multiple users within your team, it's also possible to always override the signer part of the booking, meaning that, if I'm maybe the main booker, but my colleague is handling this booking, I can always choose to override whose name is underneath the contract signage. For this tutorial, let's send out our contract using the e-signature function. So once all the information is checked, we can press send. The contract has now successfully been sent. So once the contract is sent, this is the email that you will receive, being the promoter. From this email, you can directly click on the sign contract link, which will bring you back to the digital version of the contract. And bear in mind, this is the view of the promoter. As you can see, this is exactly the contract as we generated it. It shows our logo, all of our company information, and the promoter can choose to read the whole contract or press the button take me to the signing part. As you could have seen in the previous step, Stagent also works with a 2FA authentication system, which means that if you have the phone number available of the promoter, we can use it to send him a verification code to double check his identity. So that's what we're going to do now by pressing send verification code. I just received the text, so I will fill in the number right here. And continue by agreeing to all the terms of services to make the contract legally binding, and also agree to the attached documents. And as you can see, we automatically include the press kit to each booking and also included the rider. We first have to tick all the boxes. We press sign contract. Now the contract has officially been signed on both parties. And now if we go back to our booking, we can also see that the status has changed to signed. From this view, we will also be able to review the contract again, and Stagent will also keep track of an audit trail to ensure that the information of the promoter is really correct. Once the contract has been signed by both parties, you will also receive a confirmation email that looks something like this. Alright guys, we just managed to send out our first contract and digitally sign it. Stay tuned for the next video where we show you how to generate your first invoice. Stay tuned.